Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We'll get this meeting started. Today is December 20th at 6 o'clock. This is the Addison Township Board meeting, and we're located at 1440 Rochester Road in Addison Township. We can all stand for the pledge, please. And our veteran,
I'll say it.
okay, go right ahead, Ed.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could stay standing for a moment.
Dear Lord, thank you for being with us here today. Please hold tightly the students and our friends and family from Oxford, our dear sister community. Also bless the families that lost lives and homes from the deadly tornadoes down south. Please help us as leaders offer strength and guidance so we can offer that strength and guidance to any of our residents who may need our help during this time. Now please be with this board and continue to be a beacon of light, peace, and respect for all of those who travel upon it. May you grant us a Merry Christmas and a safe and happy, healthy New Year. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Could your roll call, please?
Yes, Jacob Newby.
Here.
Karen Gravel. Here. Linda Garrett. Here. Ed Brightfield.
Here.
Lori Fisher. Here. Bennett Pleasant. Supervisor Pearson.
Here, all accounted for. Announcements, I will just say that we have a new lieutenant in our presence here. If you'd stand up, this was Sergeant Weir. He has just been promoted to lieutenant at the sheriff's office. And we had a patrolman here from the sheriff's office, and he made sergeant a few years ago. This is Jason T. Lander, and now he will be the new commander of the station here. All right. He was trained well, right? Very. Yeah. Anyways, I wanted to just say that in the announcements, and so he has a couple weeks of training, and then we'll have a new commander, and our lieutenant will move on to bigger things. He'll probably be a captain shortly. So, anyways, department reports as usual available in my office or my deputy supervisor. Just contact us. Any petitions?
No.
None? Order of business, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Karen Gravel.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Okay, consent agenda.
Yes, a few items on this tonight. Approval of the minutes for November 15th, approval for the bills, November 2021, amend the fire department holiday provision, appoint Pat Mueller for Oxford Addison Youth Board member, appointments, these are all going to be for 3-year terms except for the one partial. Planning Commission, Jennifer Lundy, Eric Sent. Joe Schnur will be replaced with Joe King. Park Committee, Rod Blazik. Park Ranger, Art Burney. 22-23 fiscal year meeting dates. Approve new check invoices issuance to BC3, formerly IT Right. Public hearing date notice for truth and taxation and budget hearing. Clinton River watershed dues.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Karen.
Do we have any discussion on it? Anybody have anything they'd like to say? Not hearing any, could we have roll call on that, please?
Yes. Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Karen Gravel.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. And that passes. Then we'll move on to item number 2, resolution approving North Oakland Household Hazardous Waste Consortium. As you know, every year the county puts on a big drive for the hazardous waste, and we participate. And matter of fact, last year we brought a lot of stuff over, and our trustee Chuck Sargent was there, and he did a fine job when he was there directing traffic, and the line was about a mile outside of Lakeville Road when they did it at the middle school. It was very good for our community, and so I definitely would like to continue Any discussion from the board on this?
No, it's a great organization, very well organized. I also wanted to let everyone know that by passing the resolution, we're also doing the agreement, but also appointing Jacob to continue with his duties there, and that we will be charging the residents $10 per car, and the township picks up the rest of the fee. With that, I'll make a motion to move the resolution for the Household Hazardous Waste Consortium.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett. Yes. Karen Guyval.
Yes.
Ed Rayfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. And that passes. We'll move on to item number 3, which is the resolution approving the Oakland County Sheriff's Office 2022 through 24 Law Enforcement Services Agreement with Addison Township. And I asked Lieutenant Weir, it was a surprise that we got such a very low rate increase this year. I was really surprised, actually, and I'm very grateful too. Do you have the percentages by any chance?
I don't have the exact percentages with me, but I can tell you that the projections were around 5.3% to 7% a year.
I have them here. I think for 2022 is a 1.82% increase, a 2.70 increase for 23, and a 2.78 for 24. Under this climate, the way inflation is going and everything, that's very favorable, and we certainly do appreciate that the Board of Commissioners gave us that rate. So, does anybody have any questions?
If we deny this, does that mean His Highness has to stay here with us?
No, he gets to go anyhow.
He's got to go no matter what we do.
He gets to go anyhow, yeah.
Fine.
He's one of the top investigators in the county, and we know it. We've kept him for many years, and we certainly don't want to lose him.
Yeah, we'll share it.
But I'm sure he's trained Mr. T-Lander to take over, so, but no.
I'll make the motion.
Like I said, he's moving up.
Yeah, I
He'll
know.
be a captain someday too, you know.
I hope he just remembers us.
He'll be back.
I'd like to make that motion, approve the resolution adopting, for the adoption of Oakland County Sheriff's Office 22 through 24 Law Enforcement Services Agreement with Addison Township. I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add to this? Can we have roll call, please?
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Karen Guyval.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Ed Rayfield.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, that resolution is moved. Thank you. Item number 4, Fire Department purchase of 12 radios includes preps and support equipment to Motorola for the total cost of $83,285.80 from 213-336-975. As you know, the county went to a whole new radio system, and the chief can explain that a little bit better, but in doing so, they only gave us a certain amount of radios, and we had to come up with the rest of the radios so that all our men would have them, so that they know when there's a call out. Chief, you want to add anything?
Yeah, just again, the county is actually upgrading to the P25 state system, a really good system. Unfortunately, right now, our radio system is old and we can't communicate with the rest of the counties around us, right? And sometimes even as the lieutenant understands, the coverage in our township is really bad, right? Even throughout these last 12 or 14 years the system has been going. But we're barely getting by right now with no parts and all this other stuff for the radio system. It's really shameful to be in Oakland County and they have this radio system for us. It's really sad. But they are upgrading. Unfortunately, they have enough money to give us a radio for radio like we had when the system was out. Open Sky is the obsolete system now. And we had 31 preps then, and then a radio for each vehicle. Right now, they're only going to give us 16 preps and one for each truck, right? So we actually need some more radios, right? I don't need 31 because I did have a couple spares that were moving back and forth because they don't work and so on and so forth. But I think we do need at least 12 more radios to operate efficiently in the department. And that's having a few radios in the trucks and the engine's ready to go if somebody doesn't have one, because everybody going into that high-risk environment needs to have communications, right? So we have to have a few more radios. Unfortunately, that's going to cost us. That burden is onto us as a township, right? And the fire department and the residents and taxpayers. So unfortunately, 12 radios, they did the bid process. They went with Motorola, Oakland County did. They went through all their purchasing and all that stuff. They signed a contract. The radios have been, the infrastructure has been installed throughout the last year and a half. They hope to turn on the system sometime in 2022. We've heard as late as August, July, September, maybe even 2023. Unfortunately, the reason why I'm bringing this forth now is I put the money aside in the budget this year. In April again is a new budget year. And with that being said, I didn't really want to buy the radios yet. I wanted to wait until right before they start turning on the radios because I didn't want to have them sitting on a shelf and doing whatever. But there is a big price increase that's happening in December or January from Motorola. And that has been part of the contract that they put forth with the county. So to save about $9,000, we need to purchase the radios now. Okay, so I think, and the radio itself, one radio is about $6,800 for one of these radios. Give you an idea how expensive they are. But that's what I'd like to do. I come to the board now. I have it budgeted. I budgeted $90,000 for the radios, and we're just under that. And that's all we need, really. I don't need 13 or 14 radios. I think we'll go with this. And maybe, you know, as the department gets a little bigger, maybe I'll have to come back to the board and maybe buy a few more radios. But I might be able to manage that with operating money. But we'll let you know. But this right now, I need to have those 12 radios purchased so we can operate efficiently and safely.
Colleen?
I think it's important for the first responders, whether it be the fire department or the sheriff, to have equipment to properly do their job and to properly service the township. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the fire department purchase of the 12 radios. Includes prep and support equipment to Motorola for $83,285.80 from 213-336-975-000.
I'll second.
I'd like to make a comment after the vote.
We have a second. You can make a comment right now if there's anybody
Just
who have a
just
motion
for
on.
clarification, Chief, you might, for the audience's privilege, this is not something that we in Addison Township pulled out of the air. This is something that you're under pretty much orders by Oakland County to get these radios. It's not something you're just volunteering to do, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And if we could not manage a system ourselves, that would just be astronomical in cost, right? So we could never just go on our own system. And also we use Oakland County as our dispatch, so we kind of really have to do what the county does. So yeah, we're kind of hogtied, so to speak, and we have to buy these radios, unfortunately.
Thank you, Chief. That's what I wanted
Thank
to
you.
make sure everybody.
And I just wanted to add that on top of that, you know, they've already dictated that we've gotten 2 exemptions on the advanced life support now. We no longer can have an ambulance go out with a firefighter and an advanced life support. We have to have now 2 advanced life support people in the station to go out. They can't meet at the scene. So I mean, there's many things that are because of COVID and other things that all of a sudden the fire department is under stress now that someday we may have to add some money to the fire department because this is not of their doing, but everybody's adding these extreme charges onto the.
Yeah, oh yeah, yes. And I do want to tell you that this new radio system will be a good working radio system because the whole rest of the state, and I'm saying the whole rest of the state has it, the Oakland County doesn't. So now we will, so that'll be great.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Jacob Moody.
Yes.
Karen Geisel.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Ed Rakto.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. We'll move on to item number 5. This is a formality, once again from the state. They've come down with new guidelines for, it's a 2021 resolution to adopt poverty exemption income guidelines and asset test. There are certain requirements for exemption on property taxes that we have several elderly people living on very little, and they meet the asset test, so we help them with their property taxes. But the state now, I guess, wanted us to adopt this guideline, which everybody in the state apparently is adopting now, and it was pretty self-explanatory. It sets the poverty level and what people can have before we can issue an exemption on their taxes. Anybody have any questions on this? This goes through myself. I recommend it. It also goes through the assessor. And if anybody is struggling, I encourage them to contact me or anybody else in the township so that it gets to me. And there are people that we do help out on some of those if they meet those criteria. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the 2021 Addison Township Board of Resolution to adopt poverty exemption income guidelines and asset test.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Does anybody on the board have any discussion on it? Not hearing any, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Karen Darrow.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. Move on to item number 6. Well, this has to do with a columbarium again, that the issue here at hand. Number 1, we need to select the color and materials for the pavers in the terrace area. And we need to select the engraving. I'll let Pauline kind of explain a few things here because she's working with the company.
I'm going to go first with the PEA group. They sent out a memo, and the planters, if you look for the precast concrete tumbled wall and cap unit, is the lowest price on there. And if you go to their pictures that they sent out, it would be this one here. So I would suggest that as far as the pavers and the wall cap unit, we probably should go with the lower price, as we want to make sure the foundation for the columbariums is done very well. And then the second part of that is the pavers. And if you look at that one, he wants us to pick 2 pavers or 2 colors. So the Holland Stone Precast Concrete Pavers, and that is going to be this one here, is the Holland.
Pauline, can I ask, does that come in other colors?
He wants us to pick colors too. So I'm just giving you the examples because he's going to make out the bids next. So he needs examples of what we're comfortable with for him going out for bids. And then he would like the colors as well. So on the original drawing, so I'm going to go to that next. So the areas that he is going to be actually asking for is right in here, and it's the 2 colors. So we can go ahead, since we all like this plan, we can go ahead and say, come close to the colors that he selected, unless somebody has a different idea.
So it's basically 3 colors.
Well, he's not asking for that because that's going to be the concrete, and it's either going to be that open face that Karen had suggested, or it's going to be the stamp. So that's been settled. What he's after is in here, and then of course that walkway. So it looks like he has like maybe like a reddish and then a brown color.
So the, pardon me, the precast tumbled wall and cap unit that was the first one for the planter, would that be the same color as the brick in front of it, or is that another?
It's up to us. If you look at his, and it's a slight different color, so if you look at his up close to the planters,
Mhm.
you can see that the planters are slightly different shade than that reddish. Or we can have them the same. They look more brown.
Well, they look more gray in this picture, so I guess if we
We
were
have to
gonna,
pick out a color though.
well, if we were gonna go with the reddish color for the pavers, can the precast concrete be a similar close color like it shows in the drawing?
If we tell him to do so, yes.
And then,
Which drawing are you looking at though, so that I know?
I'm looking at, design phase 1.
They're all design phase 1.
I know.
So when I look at that, Linda, those in what my color vision, they look like a brown, some shade of a brown.
Well,
Is that what
look
you're
at
after?
this one here, this one looks more gray. I'm just wondering if it comes in a color that would match the reddish brick.
Okay, so from here, the planter types, yes, that is gray and it comes in colors. He wants us to pick the style and the color.
Just me, and I did like the precast Holland stone in the herringbone. And then if that could also be the second color in gray. And then the first precast tumble capital unit are my thoughts. I don't know what anyone else, it's not.
Okay, let's do the planters. So you like the design of the precast concrete tumble?
Yes,
Okay, and you want that in a close shade to what he's designed?
yes, I like the design.
Okay, so now let's go on to your opinion for the pavers. You picked the reddish Holland stone precast?
Yes.
Okay, and then what would be your second color?
Well, if that comes in a gray color,
So stick with that one, and you want the red and a gray?
yes, that's my thoughts.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Brilliant.
Pauline, can you remind me, did we choose the bench seats already?
Yes.
My memories. Did we choose concrete?
They were the benches that were being sold by the Columbarium Company, and in one of their pictures, it might still be in.
I guess I'm wondering, and you guys probably have been looking at this a lot more,
So,
but
if you look at this picture, there's the benches that we ordered, and they kind of match, they're gray, and they kind of match the Columbarium.
okay, that's what I was gonna ask you. Do the band, we just don't want 50 different types and styles and colors. I wondered if you guys are looking more closely at it, will those match with what we're, like what you,
Well, I'm
Linda had
seeing
just suggested?
3 colors. So if it's like, you have the gray, the beige, and the red. So with the granite, I don't know, it seems like I just thought of it as 3 colors. I didn't want to see more than that. But they're not all going to be the same material. I think the benches are going to, if they're on like some kind of cement or the aggregate that you mentioned, the exposed aggregate, I don't think we've decided on that yet, have we?
There will be 4 colors, because if we want different planters, and then we're picking two different type of pavers, and then you have your cement work, so there will be 4 colors. And then one last question for Linda. You said red and gray, but when I look at this, do you want it kind of, or is your gray tone like a dark gray, or is this more of a brown?
I'm thinking like a medium gray, really. I don't think it needs to be that strong of a contrast, because the columbariums are like granite and black, basically.
Because his is more of a brown.
Is it brown?
This,
Oh, no, Columbarium.
Columbarium.
yeah, but I'm
That's
talking about this.
I thought it would be a gray. Is he calling for charcoal on that? At one point, I thought I saw charcoal at some place.
That's kind of what that would look like to me, is a charcoal.
So where are you seeing the 4th color then?
Well, you have the planters are gonna be a different color, and then you have your reddish, and then you have your charcoal, and then you have your
No, I
pavers.
thought the planters were gonna be a close match to the red brick pavers. So the precast concrete could be a similar color to that, the reddish brick.
So I wrote down that the precast tumbled are as he designed, and it's gonna look like this brownish or tannish. So if we want those red, let me know. 'cause
It
then-
does, well, I thought it was, let me just show you this one, I'm sorry. See, this is a similar tone. These two, I don't think they're distinctly different.
That's a red tint, and that has a tan or a brown.
Well, I'd like those to be like, so they kind of flow. So if these could be of a similar color.
So you want them the red.
Well, they don't have to be red,
I
but
will say that, that's why I don't pick colors at my house, I just
I know,
paint.
it's like, just tell me what you guys want, and I'm ready to go.
I just go to the store and I say, what looks good, and, you have something to
I
like?
thought we had decided not to do brick pavers because of the maintenance.
Because of what?
The maintenance? And with the aggregate.
We're not asking for this area, we're only asking for the landscape area. So he's not even asking us for the area that we're contemplating either to do the stamped concrete or the open face.
Well, but they could, I guess, I thought we were leaning away from brick pavers, so we could do concrete there and just, they can dye the concrete different colors, so I guess.
that would work, but I didn't see that as an option.
Well,
No,
wasn't-
because we approved this plan, and this plan had those brick pavers there. So now
Those
we're gonna
brick
go
pavers-
backwards, and it's already going to site plan.
Yeah, no, I thought this looked like a seal type of brick pavers. I mean, they look pretty.
So
This
we're not
Brussels-
looking to change the design in the center, we're just looking for colors.
Now, those are my thoughts, that would flow as the same color, the planter and the reddish color, and then the gray.
Anybody else have any, we have a proposal of having, the gray with the tan, right? Or, well, red, whatever
It's
it
a
is.
reddish tan, I don't know that it's gonna be like bright red bricks, but.
Does anybody have a?
So when I call in tomorrow, I want to make sure everybody is set. If I said we would like the colors that are on his plan and try to match the planters with the same color of that walkway, would
Yes.
everybody be happy?
And I'm calling this color red.
Yeah, I
And
do
it could be a more orangey color, it's not like a bright red brick. We all are okay with that? I mean, anyone have any other thoughts on how to do it?
I think you've got a good idea. Let it go.
Oh, yeah, he drew it up, so it's like.
Okay.
So Linda, this is kind of dark, but you want this as a gray tone, but dark, like he's showing it,
With the contrast,
in a gray tone.
yes.
Gray tone, with the contrast.
Okay, how about, for the inscriptions?
Okay, so they sent us 3 different inscriptions, and then I made a larger version. So the first one, everybody sees that. The second one, the only difference is Addison Township is underlined. And then the third one, the font is not as bold or as dark. So they would like us to pick which style for the town variance.
I like the second one.
I like the underline.
So Lori, when you said the second one, the second is with the underline of Addison Township?
Right, version 2. And, I have been looking at these, trying to figure out what the difference was.
I know, I saw Pauline, I said, okay, it's just a trick question.
I did the same thing. I was like, is this one of those?
Well, don't think I'll find you guys to the.
I go along with Lori.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the second one.
The second one with the line, because there's two number twos.
Second one with the line. The line, I think, just adds something to the Addison Township part of it. We know it's just Lakeville Cemetery, but it's owned by Addison Township.
So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion since I'm going to have to explain to the gentleman what we want so that everybody can hear it and tell me if I have something wrong. So as far as the landscaping, we are going to pick, I have too many papers. For the planters, precast concrete tumbled wall and cabin unit. And then for the pavers, the Holland Stone precast concrete pavers in herringbone pattern. And then we would like him to try to match his design as close as possible with a reddish walkway, reddish, what did you call it, reddish?
Reddish orange. I mean, it's a.
To match his diagram, and that the planters also try to match the color of that walkway, and that the second portion of that will be like a medium to a dark gray, similar to what he's showing.
Yeah.
And then as far as the columbariums, we're gonna go with version number 2, and it has Addison Township underlined.
That's your motion.
I want to hear it repeated now.
I could do that.
Can you type it all up for us, exactly what you said? Well, I'll second her motion.
And so, okay, we have a second by trustee Brakefield. Does anybody else have any comments? As you notice, I didn't pick the colors in this township either. I let somebody else pick the colors.
I think you.
It looks very nice.
It does, it does.
Yeah. And I will say, Lori had good taste in colors, so do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm good. She should be interior decor.
Okay. Nobody else? No comments? Do we have roll call, please?
Karen Gottle.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Good luck on that, Pauline.
I did.
Okay, we're on item number 7, which is the 2022-23 budget workshop. We'll go through this page by page again, and just speak up when you have a question or whatever. I will let you know that, our budget's increased a little bit because of the columbarium, and I think elections are this year coming up, so that's added on. And as you know, we're dealing with Gypsy Moss now, so that's included in the budget, so we are a little bit higher. But we'll start at page 1. That's revenues. Anybody have any questions on that? If not, we'll go to page 2. Has to do with the budget.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know we're gonna talk about wages and the increase that you're recommending. I know we voted for a wage increase last year, but you had made a comment in the past that the township employees have gone several years without a raise. So I was just, is there more background on that, or is that something that, like, if I wanted to look into, like, when's the last time we didn't get a raise? Do you know?
We have done raises. We've done, there's only during 2008, they did without raises for several years. And then when the township was on, we knew that the crisis would look like it wasn't getting any worse. We did give the employees a raise, but not the elected officials. And then ever since then, we have been giving a raise that's pretty much in accordance with what the consumer price index has been. Last year, it was only 1.7, I believe, or 1.3. We gave a 2% raise last year because they did do several years without a raise, so that put them way behind. This year, as you know, everybody, Social Security went up 5.9. So I believe that 5.9, which we're actually given a 4.9 increase in the wages and a 1% into their retirement. So, and now as we found out, that really isn't enough because really inflation is much higher than that now, we do realize, but I believe that a 4.9% raise this time is adequate.
Members,
Yes.
is that talking about the elected officials as well, or just the employees?
Everyone,
Okay.
that's, yes, everyone in the township.
Oh, one more question on that.
Yes.
So, has the township ever had like a personnel committee, or, I guess I'm trying to understand how we do like a raise across the board for everybody, if, for examples, maybe somebody wasn't deserving of a raise, or are we not looking at these as merit raises, they're more cost of living? I mean, has there ever been like a personnel committee, or do we ever look at evaluations, or is this person deserve it, this person doesn't? I'm just thinking in the, corporate world, that's what we do, and.
So you're saying I don't deserve a raise?
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, like, I just trying to
Checking, okay.
wrapping my head around it as only
We are
being my
still-
first year trustee.
We still are way underpaid compared to, but yes. We have 8 employees in the township, okay? I guess I can pull them all in and tell someone that they're getting less than the other person, I don't know. But generally, when we go across the board, all of the elected officials, we stay the same. All of the deputy, the deputies all stay the same. The fire department, we have now, over the years, we have developed a scale there so they know what they're all going to be getting by how many years of service.
And that raise in the fire department is warranted on their ability to do the job, and so there's a 3-year tier there, and performance evaluations that does happen every year at the station and warrants that next raise when they first start. So yeah, that's there. But once you're topped out, then it just refers to everybody getting that amount of money. Yes. And it went from 2007 to 2016 before we got a raise. There was a whole area there where we didn't get any raises for several years.
I've got a comment.
Yes.
I don't hang around the township, but I do visit the township. I have never, ever seen any one of our employees not carrying their weight. Every time I've been here, they've all been working hard. It would be hard pressed to find somebody not deserving a raise, especially since it's the standard across the board, government mandated raise.
Well, when we go to, and I see what you're saying, if we had a huge amount of employees and we had different, but I manage, the building department, my deputy, and a part-time worker, and I know who's doing the job, who's not doing the job. Pauline has just a handful of people. I know that the treasurer has the deputy treasurer. I mean, I don't know how,
We survived without.
I mean, yeah, I just don't know how we could, we're basically rating them daily, but I don't, if somebody wasn't doing their job, they wouldn't be here, and if I were to not give somebody a raise, then that would be telling them they're not doing their job. So my thing is, they just wouldn't be here, if they weren't doing their job properly, would be a new employee. So I understand what you're saying. If we were much bigger, I guess we could have an HR bring every person in and see if they, deserved a raise or not. But I think right now, with 8 people or so in the office there, I think that it's easier to do across the board. But does anybody else have any questions on that? Do they think we're not doing it right, or?
Well, I think if you look at the next item on the agenda, it is a resolution adopting the fiscal wage compensation scale, and it kind of explains what we do. There's a step system, and I think if somebody wasn't, like you said, Bruce, if they aren't doing their job, they're not going to get to the next step. Get somebody else.
I mean, we've had it where personnel have had to be, let go. I mean, if they're not doing their job, they're not doing their job. But we only have a couple people in every division, so.
And they're at will.
And yes, they're at will.
I just was asking because I'm sure a lot of our township residents ask the same questions in their head.
Yeah, if I had more than 8 employees, I guess
You probably have a
I
union
probably would
system.
have an HR manager like they do in Orion Township, I mean, Orion Township, they have unions, they have a huge amount of employees, they have a DPW, they have a Parks Division.
We just made Pauline do it here.
Yeah, I mean, my Parks Division are all volunteers and myself, so we don't have any of that. We don't have a DPW. We don't have a water and sewer department. We don't have a lot, do we?
And your building maintenance
We're not
just
very easy.
retired.
But anyways, I understand your question, and that's something maybe in the future as we grow that would come about. Anyways, that was on page 2. Anything on page 3? Anybody have any questions on page 3? We'll move on to page 4. I will state that I believe in 13 years that I've been in office here, we've never spent our budget. I think right now we only have a quarter of the year left, and we haven't. I don't think we've even spent half our budget. So I think we've done very well over the last 13 years, anyhow. Move on to page 5. Chief, you have anything on page 5? That's the fire department.
Oh, yeah, if you have any questions. I'm sure, which one are you on, capital or operating?
We are on
Operating.
Operating.
I do know that I will speak on behalf of the fire department that I've been on the phone for 3 years now, getting an exemption for our advanced life support. Our advanced life support makes it so that we can do everything in that ambulance that they can do in a hospital. So if someone has a heart attack, our advanced life support people have direct contact with the hospital, and they can do everything to save a person's life. Well, that's why we have advanced life support out here, because we are so far from the hospital that we want to make sure that we have that. Now, they have started putting mandates on us that we have to have 2 advanced life support people in the ambulance before it even leaves the station. We used to have part-time advanced life support people that would meet at the scene along with the one that was full-time on there. We no longer can do that. So we're going to have increased cost. I know that, but I think it's very important that the citizens know that the most important thing is in the fire department right now, they do put out fires, but I think probably 80% or 90% of your calls are ambulance runs.
Yes, for sure. I mean,
And we want to make sure that people get to the hospital alive. I sometimes say that we get there and we save them, but by the time they get off our gravel roads, they're dead. But because our roads are so bumpy. But the ambulance, they can do everything. And I think it's really, in the future, I think we might have to add to the fire department just for that purpose, to make sure that we can give everybody that.
Yes, if you don't mind, I'd elaborate a little bit on that county mandate. Before, it used to be, and it's just a simple wording, right, that changed. It used to say, while transporting, you had to have 2 people on that ambulance, all right? Then they changed that, and the county have made sure that it said now that all the time, not just while transporting. And that was a fight with the southern departments and the northern departments. Before, when all these rules were put in place, the southern departments had all the say, right? And the northern departments, and I'm talking about Oakland County, we didn't have representatives, we weren't full-time, it was all paid on call across the board on the northern departments here. And the southern departments were making those meetings and making those rules and stuff like that. And they had a rule in there that said you had to have 2 medics on duty all the time, right? Or while transporting. Well, we fought that a little bit on the north end, and our votes now outweigh the southern 9 departments that ran the county, so to speak, back then. So all of us, you know, from Springfield to Oxford to Oakland to Rochester Hills to Addison, Springfield, Groveland, all these departments now, we all have full-time people, we all have something to say. Well, they got it mixed up, and somehow or another, there was a fast one pulled on us chiefs. We were trying to do something on the north end, and then they put in there all the time. So in order to run call or 5,000 calls, we have to have at least 2 people on that ambulance all the time ready to go, right? So us at 700 and some calls a year, that's over just over, you know, 2 calls a day on average. We have to have those 2 people there all the time, which unfortunately puts a big burden on Addison Township and the fire department in our budget, right? So there's only 2 townships that had this exemption that we had to fight for, and that was North Oakland Fire Authority and Addison Township. Well, if you guys remember, I came here about a year ago, almost to the day, and we hired 2 people, right? Knowing that we were gonna have a little bit of a budget issue in the years to come. So we'll have to come back and look at that. But unfortunately, this new mandate that the Oakland County Medical Control has thrown on us has to put this financial hardship on us, and we're going to have to work through it somehow. So I appreciate the board looking into that and looking at our budget going forward. So thank you.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that in the future, we may have to add a little bit to the fire department so that we can meet the mandates, and who knows what other mandates they're going to impose on us. But like I said, I've been able to get on the
Hopefully this is it.
I've been able to get on the phone and get exemptions, and we've had meetings with the head of the Oakland County Medical Control, and we've been able to get exemptions, but they told me I no longer can get the exemptions, so this is our last year of that. So, yes.
We don't have the capital budget in here, just the operating?
It's
Number
coming.
moved?
We converted the new chart of accounts. That was a big project that I've been working on, so it's coming further down the road.
Oh, I see it. Sorry, my mistake. It usually is with fire.
Not anymore.
Okay.
We'll move on to number 6. Any questions on number 6? Okay, now we'll move on to number 7, which is the police budget. Do you have anything on the police budget you'd like to add, Lieutenant?
There's a lot to add.
I will say that we are very fortunate that I was expecting a much higher increase, just the way the economy is going and everything, as far as the police budget, but
Bruce, the increases that you have, minimal, right? We were expecting much higher.
much higher.
I'm very fortunate for that, for the citizens of this community. They're still going to maintain the same services. In that increase, it does cover the cost of the prep radios for the sheriff's office, for new radios in the cars. Each deputy now, just like the fire department, will be assigned a prep radio, where before per shift they were utilized for day shift, would come in and get their prep radio and they pass it on to the afternoon shift. The afternoon shift will pass it on. Now each deputy assigned will be issued their own take-home prep radio that they'll be responsible for. So we've made leaps and bounds there. As you know, there's been times in the past, the chief and I have gone round and round with the commanders downtown where we didn't get service in areas that we felt was a high priority.
It's 14 years and we still don't, right?
Still don't.
Quinder area, we still aren't very.
We're still fighting with them. It's been a battle that I fought since 2005, 2006, when I was assigned here. But it's coming. They're finally doing this, and it's a part of that increase. Also, a part of that increase is body cameras. Deputies will be assigned body cameras with this contract, and that's a part of the cost also. So when you think about the 1.7 on this year's, it does cover that.
Very good. And as our townships are growing, there's gonna be a time we're gonna have to add, we have minimal coverage right now, and we wanna make sure that our deputies go home like everyone else, so we may have to add some people in the future. So
The one thing nice is the infrastructure in the state is already here in Oakland County, and then we've added more towers in Oakland County because we had them working, so we'll have really good coverage now. They showed maps and things of coverage and their analysis and things, and it looks away, you know, we have that big tower on 32 Mile, that's a state tower. Well, that's, the state police can talk anywhere in Oakland County, right? When they drive through Oakland County, so it says that we could be able to talk in Oakland County too, so they're gonna put, it's gonna be a way better system.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to number 8. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, that they don't need too much in the way of supplies or anything. Okay, we'll move on to page 9. This is the parks. The parks has a few things they'd like to do. They want to get a walkway for disabled people in Lake George Park, and we did get a small grant to put in a disabled dock there so that people who are paraplegic or whatever can use. There's a ramp that takes their kayak and puts it in the water, and they can get in and out without, and a place for their wheelchair so they can spin around. So there's a few things that we want to finish there. Let's move on to page 10. That's just their wages and equipment. And we'll go on to page 11. That's the fire capital, is that what? We'll go on to page 12. And we want to improve Station 2 here, and I think we're starting to move forward on that, so that we can make that so that it has living quarters in it. We're going to need that in the future, so that the firemen can, you know, they do stay overnight at the 1 up on 1, but down here at 2 in front of the township hall here, that one needs to be updated so that we can also have facilities in there. And at the same time, we're looking at getting some kind of design so that we can make the outside look and enhance the township so that it might semi-match a little bit. So we're working on that right now, and we have an architect that legal has approved that the same architect we use here that we can use and come up with some ideas for us. So that's forthcoming. That comes out of capital.
You've got 1,200 in there for Station 2, correct, in the budget?
Where are you talking?
200,000
No, I'm looking.
next line.
200,000, yeah. Yeah, 200,000. I'm looking at, do we have enough money in there for that?
In the capital, yes.
Yeah.
And the chief can explain that there's no large purchases for the next, gosh.
In my 10-year budget, you guys, I always put that together, you've seen that before, right? In that 10-year budget, within that time, I don't have any big purchases for trucks and that. I got about 12 years before we have to buy another big truck again and replace what we have. So there's this little bit of extra money. I don't want to say extra money, but there is some money there to be able to, and I had planned that right over these years to redo Station 2. I was planning to wait a little bit longer, but we are starting to move forward with having some paid-on calls at the station, and we're utilizing Station 2 a little more than what we wanted to earlier, I should say. So that's why we have to, and plus it just would, there's some other major issues there, just not for sleeping, but there's doors. That building was built in '87, it's a pole barn. There's lots of little issues that need to be repaired on that building versus putting a Band-Aid on it. Let's do it the right way, since I do have the extra money right now.
Okay, we'll move on to page 13, that's just cost recovery. That's simple. 14, cost recovery. 15, revolving fund. That's so that we can, if people want to pave some roads or whatever, we can support a special assessment district so that township can help get some of these roads, private or public, whichever. If somebody wants to pave the road and get an SAD together or any other kind of improvements. So. And page 16. Okay. Any questions on any of it? Just for food for thought right now. We'll go on to the next item. But if you have any, look it over. Next month we'll go through this again and see if anybody has any questions on it. We'll move on now to item number 8. Resolution adopting the fiscal year 2022-23 wage compensation schedule, fire, and supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustees. Like I said, my proposal is a 4.9% increase. Social Security was 5.9, and they, of course, came out with that earlier in the fall, which we now know is probably should have been higher, but it is what it is. But 4.9, and we had a 1% into the retirement. Anybody have any questions on that? Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make that motion. The Township of Addison County, Oakland, State of Michigan resolution adopting fiscal year 2022 and 23 wage compensation schedule with a 4.9% increase.
And would you mind, we have to actually identify each resolution, so is there a way that you could add?
For every whereas, you want me to read?
No, you just have to identify every resolution and we can do one motion. So let's
There's a
say,
whole stack up here.
yeah, so you just read that first one, so then
Yeah.
you're gonna say fire department wage compensation resolution.
I will.
And then the trustee,
Yeah, that's the first one. The second one,
the
I'm
treasurer,
trying to
the
figure this
clerk,
out.
and the supervisor.
I see the fire department. Here, help me out with this one. I see the trustees, okay.
Here, so you said this first one already, so now just say that one. Just say that one. That you move that resolution.
Yeah, okay, I've got the fire department resolution, so I'll just run.
Okay, now let's add that one to your
Well, it's
motion.
here, I'll make that added to it. I'd like to also include the resolution for the fire department wage compensation
Now that one.
in that one. And included in that, the resolution to establish a township officer's salary, including trustee.
There's two there, I think.
And
I'm sorry.
I'll do that. The resolution to establish township officer's treasurer. Resolution to establish township officer salary clerk. And the last one would be resolution to establish township officer's salary supervisor. Let me get these back in order for you.
Do we have a motion? Which includes the fire department, supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustees.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And we have a second by trustee Newby. Does anybody have any discussion on this? Anything like to add? If not hearing anything, can we have a roll call on that, please?
Karen Guyland,
Yes.
Linda Garrett, yes. Jacob Moody,
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher,
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, that resolution is moved. Okay, we'll move on to item number 9. It's the American Rescue funds and possible uses. We did get some other ideas. I just don't know if all of them will fly or not. But we had well testing, fixing up the parks, fitness court, broadband. It might be able to use some of that money for the fire department remodeling, the township air filtration system, and the township library has asked us if we could look in to see if we could use some of that money for, they cited different things like a parking lot, I think standby generator. There are several things that the library wanted to see if any of those will fly. Right at the moment, I was at the OTAB, the supervisors meeting, and everybody's in the same position. We're waiting for the federal government to expand some of these places that we can put that money, but as of right now, we haven't heard anything new, so I don't know if all these will apply. But at least we're getting a list, and the longer we wait, I think they're gonna open up different avenues that we can use this money. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add on that?
I just wanted to add that now that the chart of account conversion is over, I was able to reach out to the few entities that are working on broadband, and I'm trying to get some information. So I'm just going to forward you guys that background information as I receive it. I'm still waiting for a documentation from Charter so that you'll be kept up to date as far as what's going on there. The latest one was from Connect something. And I guess there's quite a bit of money at the state level that the companies have to ask for if you decide to partner with them. So it is interesting at how much money is out there and how many entities there are to contact.
Okay, we don't have to do anything on that right at the moment. That's just if anybody has any more ideas, we're getting a list at least, and hopefully maybe something else will open up on that. Okay, I think we'll move on to public forum now. This is the time when anyone in the public would like to speak. If you stand up and just state your name, and we'll let you speak for 3 minutes, and we'll listen. This is only where we listen.
All right, well, my name is Jerry Morosky. I live at 2497 Texas Road and a resident of this beautiful township. I just wanted to say real quick, as you guys are aware of the school shooting that happened, on the 30th of November, I think it was. Our department was responded to that call, right? We're so close, and our ambulance actually had to deal with 2 patients. One we pronounced and then one we transported at that call. So there's a handful of us, myself included, that went over to that very trying day. And I've been in the fire service now 28 years, full-time for 12, and I've never been more proud of the fire service and what the residents have given us to be able to help people in time of need at that time, right? There's a lot of emphasis on the police, and believe me, they did their job too, right? But everybody's kind of forgetting about the guys that transported these people and had to deal with parents driving up as probably, the gore and stuff that I saw doesn't really bother me as much it's the parents that we had to deal with coming up trying to find their children. It's very trying on me. And I'll have to learn how to deal with that with counseling and all that other stuff. But I just want to let you know that we do thank you guys for the decisions that you're making for this department and this township, right? And the tax dollars that we all pay, myself included. That's why I'm so frugal with what we do. But I'm really thankful for all the things that you guys do as a board and the township that always gives us that support to be able to go help somebody and do something in that crazy time, right? And so pat yourself on the back. You did do something to help that day, right? Every one of you did. So thank you for that, and we'll learn how to deal with it. Oxford, the police officers, everybody here that had to deal with, and these poor kids, you don't understand how scared they are until you see them and you start talking to them, right? And what they have to go through. We're adults, we can handle it a little better, I think, maybe we learned how to push it down, I don't know. But we have to get by that. And again, I just want to say thank you to the board and the township for all that you've done for us, and we were able to help at that day. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else in public forum? Yes.
Joel, Ridgemont Road, one of the items that was discussed at a recent library board meeting that you sort of touched upon briefly was, again, expanding the parking lot and putting in a standby generator. But the rationale behind that was that it could allow the library to qualify as an emergency management area. So, for example, if we had a mass casualty event like a tornado coming through, it would pull down power lines, and they got to fly helicopters in to pull people out, or just stage trucks for food and such if power was out for an extended period. Would pretty much the extended parking lot and the standby generator would be the big ticket items to get that certification.
And that's for where now?
Where the new library would be.
Okay, very good. And I will admit, I will also add that the Salvation Army is putting up a huge building that is supposed to be tornado safe too for the community, which is a great thing for the people in the rural area who don't have basements. And so the Salvation Army is another area that's building.
And it could be an ice storm. We get our ice storms
Yeah.
up here all the time. I mean,
Yeah. Thank
extended
you.
amount of time.
But the day I moved in, I went without power for 7 days because of an ice storm.
Okay, anybody else in public forum? Anybody else?
Let
we
it
have
be in
one.
3 minutes.
You'll get a minute.
First of all, I'd like to thank this board and all the previous boards before you and all the residents of Addison Township personally. I started my career here as a road deputy in the early 2000s. I had a mentor here that worked the road.
He was my most difficult student.
I was-
Look at him now.
I was a lot of people's most difficult student, let me tell you. I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but my roots in this community go back to the 1880s. I've told this story a lot. I don't share it a lot, but I've told a lot of people. My great-grandparents were born here. Their parents came here in the 1880s, built a home right in town. Bruce and I have talked about this numerous times. My mother has memorabilia from Leonard, photographs and such that she's hoping to donate to the community one day. She's not in good health, so I'm hoping I get it from her soon before it goes away in a dumpster or something. But I just want to take that time to thank each and every one of you. This has been an emotional time for me. It's not always moving on that brings that about, right? But I'm leaving it in good hands with Sergeant Thielander. I have a lot of respect for him, and I think the community does. Also, they've all reached out to me, and they were very happy that he was chosen. He was a candidate of many. I tried to stay out of it as much as possible. When Bruce told me who his decision was, I was very pleased with it. So I think you'll do well with him. Chief, I wanted to get up and talk before you, but I didn't have an opportunity to do that, right? So, this incident that was brought upon all of us, when I rolled into that, I couldn't have been more pleased with the outreach and with the response. Our 2 deputies that were assigned here on day shift were the first 2 that responded to that school at the, I won't say which entrance, but an entrance of the school. They were the first in. So I'm very proud of them for doing that. On top of that, right behind them, I mean, you think about how big Oakland County is in the response. There was over 300 officers that responded that day, right? And fire departments from counties away, not just here within our own reach. And our fire department was the first on scene there. And you should be very proud of them for what they did. Chief, I know it was hard for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not an emotional guy,
Yeah.
but I am very thankful for you and your other first responders that were there and took care of those wounded.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I have a question. My name is Robin Dupre and I live on Drainer Road. I'm hearing different things about whether or not we're getting a hospital in this area. I thought we were getting a Beaumont hospital up somewhere in the vicinity of Myers. Now I'm hearing we're not getting that. Does anybody have a feel for what's going on
Usually I
there?
don't speak, okay, that's where we listen, but that's one of our priorities now. I have talked with other township officials. We need one. That incident proved we needed one. Yes, we were denied it. It goes through the state. We were denied that hospital. But I think that things have changed now, and we're going to go back at it again. Stand by. We'll see.
Is there a reason why we were denied? Because I had read an article in one of the major newspapers that said Beaumont had been approved.
The state controls it. It goes by population. It goes by the need. So I will tell you that it's not in our hands, but we pled the case, and we'll be back at it again now. Okay, so thank you. Normally I don't respond, okay, that's where we listen, but on this basis, after everybody has spoken, it's definitely needed. Anybody else? Okay, if we don't have anybody else, how about board members here? You guys have anything to add? Anybody on a board here have anything to add?
I'd like to recognize Jamie Martell for doing all her work with the gypsy moths, because she had to input a lot of data from all over the township, and there's a lot of work and a lot of gypsy moths.
Yes. Anybody else?
There's a team sitting out there.
Oh.
We're a team.
Okay, anybody else? Nobody? Okay, well, now with legal reports and communications, any?
Yes, we received 3. One from Jessica Newby, dentist office concerns. We received one from Charles Becker, and it was about this single hauler. He was against that. And then we received one from Sherry L. Steele, and she was thanking the board for participating in the OPC membership that we approved a couple months ago.
Okay. Now we'll go on to the supervisor's report. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who supported the incident up at the high school. The fire department, the sheriff's department, the first responders were just excellent. Our guys, as you know, we're very, very close to the high school there, and our guys were the first ones in there. I know it was very hard for them. I had 30 some years on the sheriff's office. I've seen a lot of bad things, and these guys explained to me that this was worse than you can ever imagine. So I wish them all well. I hope that they all get some counseling. We still have some deputies who are off on this. I hope they can come back and work through this. I'd also like to give whatever help we can to the victims and their families. I know, and I'd like to thank all the citizens who have also helped. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Jack Curtis, who's the supervisor of Oxford. I know it's very emotional for him, and he's had an awful lot on his plate. And I'd like to thank him for everything he has done. I'd like to give another special thanks to Chris Barnett, who's the supervisor of Orion Township. I met with him today, and he's been instrumental in raising funds for the survivors, and he's done an excellent job. He's a good neighbor, I would tell everybody, and Jack Curtis is also a good neighbor. Our kids, of course, go to that school also, but it mostly impacted all of Oxford there. We had one of our students who was a survivor, but the other ones who weren't were all from the Oxford area. But I'd also like to thank Lieutenant Weir. He's been phenomenal. He has solved just about every one of our crimes that we've had in this township. And that old saying, you know, if the deputies catch them, you gotta have somebody who cleans them, okay? Well, he's the guy that does the investigation and takes them to court and gets the convictions. He's done an excellent job. And I know that our new sergeant, well, he's been an investigator too in Pontiac. So I know he'll do a great job for us, because if you catch them and you don't clean them, it doesn't help us because they're back on the street again. So you gotta get through the whole court system. So, but a special thanks to Lieutenant Weir, and I hope we see him again. Like I said, I trained this guy all the way from when he started. He would be a deputy in the jail, and sometimes I'd work overtime at a hospital, and he'd want to hear all my stories, okay? Every time I worked overtime with him. Well, now I hear all his stories, okay? You know, but he turned out to be an excellent officer, and it's well overdue that he was promoted to lieutenant, and I'm sure that won't be the last promotion. So, as far as Gypsy Moths, yes, I want to thank, well, Pauline and Jamie, my deputy supervisor, and all the volunteers. Everybody went out. We did the most of this township, actually did the best survey out there, and even some of the other townships wanted to know how to do it because we did it so well. So thank you very, very much. And hopefully we did find out that the gypsy moths are affecting about 3% of the township. I mean, where they're actually doing severe damage. And so we now know where to spray and see if we can control them. Otherwise, you know, they keep moving as the wind moves. And if you notice, we have a ton of them all along that Oxford Township border where they had such a terrible time last year. And now they've kind of come, the wind blows from the west. So they've come over across the line into our area. So hopefully now we can get a handle on it. And if the county comes through with the money, we'll also put money into it and see if we can stop this anyhow. Other than that, I would like to say that everyone should have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't be back until January 18th. So I am now looking for a motion for adjournment.
Also move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much.